In my opinion, it's the wrong project design at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong financing method.
Again, it's not so much whether the city needs the city hall itself, but I don't believe it needs the city hall at any cost, and I think it's inappropriate to use tools that specifically are designed to circumvent council charters. I mean, let's just amend the charter then. You know, let's call a spade a spade.
So a group of us got together and said, what can we do at this point to influence the manner in which this decision is going forward?
For some time now, residents of this Orange County beach community have experienced frustration with their city council for numerous reasons, but not the least of which is the proposed building and financing of a new city hall.
Well, I grew up in Newport Beach. I've lived here for 40 plus years. And it was a wonderful place to grow up. It's a unique beach community. I guess you could say, very fortunate to have grown up here and had a tremendous amount of freedom and enjoyment with the kind of unique marine recreation activities that the area provides. But over the years, and most recently in the last, say, 10 years, I've observed that quality of life has diminished. And primarily from the city becoming overbuilt. You can't stop progress, they say, but we're doing our best to try and preserve what remains of the quality of life. And what I refer to with regards to this city hall is that the city government are really stewards of that quality of life. They're stewards of the development of the city.
When the Civic Center was proposed and came into public consciousness, it was moved by the City Council almost as if it was a done deal.
We expressed our wants at the town hall meetings. We spoke out against the design, against the size, the financing, the location. Yet we were completely ignored and blown off.
So many of us looked at the situation and said the only way we can really influence the way in which the city is going forward on this project is through the initiative process. And so we got together and we wrote an initiative. The primary objection to the project is the method in which the city has chosen to finance this project. There is a well-recognized principle in the state of California, which is embodied in the state constitution and in our city charter, which requires voter approval before the city can incur long-term debt. Consequently, over the last 20 or so years, sharp legal thinkers, municipal bond underwriters, and those who benefit from this have found a way around that. And they have created another kind of debt, which the courts have said, well, it's not really debt. It's not the same kind of debt. Where COPs are used is you create a fictitious public agency that is dominated by, in this case, the city government. That agency then goes out and borrows money from institutions, investors. That agency then builds a public facility, in this case a city hall. That agency then leases the city hall to the city government. The city government then pays lease payments to the agency, which are then paid immediately back to the investors. It's debt. If it looks like a duck and walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. It's debt, debt, debt.
But it was specifically this issue of the certificates of participation that popped out in my mind. It's clear that it's a legal and financial instrument designed specifically to circumvent the city charter, the two-thirds vote. There's quite a bit of literature published by the California Debt Advisory Council regarding the use of COPs, and they certainly frown upon COPs being used for large discretionary items. And in my opinion, a $50+ million city hall in the city of Newport Beach is both large and discretionary, and I just don't think building it 5 feet above sea level is the right idea.
We asked financial expert Chris Harano why the City Council didn't propose the construction of a new City Hall as a bond issue.
I think they know the voting community and the residents of the city of Newport Beach do not support it.
The Newporters for Responsible Government waged an initiative campaign to require voter approval for the city to use COPs in order to finance the new City Hall. We asked spokesman John Buttolph to explain.
The way in which this initiative is drafted is that before the city can incur debt, which is payable from the general revenues of the city, voter approval is required.
There's been 4 initiatives, I believe, in the last 15 years by the residents. All have been successful.
The community of bond underwriters, bond counsel, financial advisors in this state have to be cognizant that if this initiative passes in this city, in this one city, that it may very well start other groups in other cities and maybe even a statewide ballot initiative to restrict the use of COPs without voter approval. The city had proceeded along with the design process, had obtained a very highly developed rendering of a design for the city hall, and was moving along towards awarding the final construction contracts when, surprisingly, 2 weeks ago at a city council meeting, everything was put on hold.
So the city government has stopped the project, which had been proceeding at full throttle. Why? What caused them to put the brakes on?
I think the city council realized that they had attempted to move forward with a substantial public improvement to be financed by the voters without community consensus about the project. We've been out gathering signatures. We've got a couple of thousand signatures at this point towards the 6,000 or 7,000 that we need, and the council has been very aware of that. And I think that the initiative has had a tremendous impact on the council's decision to put this project on hold.
So is this a victory for the citizens? Or is it just a ploy by the city council to take the wind out of the sails of the initiative?
Personally, I think that the decision to establish these committees was a very astute political move to deflect some of the interest in the community from signing these petitions to put these things on the ballot, instead to show that the council is being responsive to community sentiment. And I don't impute some nefarious motive to the council. I think they are getting the message that they need to be more responsive to the residents.
And so the Newport Beach City Council is showing an apparent good faith effort to include the citizens who started the initiative. We asked John Buttolph if forming these citizens committees is merely a temporary effort to mollify the citizens, or is it the beginning of a new era in public input into city government?
Personally, I am cautiously optimistic that we're seeing a change in the responsiveness of the council to the public. Now, that doesn't mean the public can relax its vigilance, but I think that what it does say is that public involvement does have an impact on the City Council of Newport Beach. And I think I'm seeing greater evidence of that today than I did a year ago or 2 years ago, and it's very gratifying.